So we mentioned a few times this idea of focusing on what you can control. And I think this is so important because we don't have any control over what's happening with the political world. We don't have any control over the market. There's a lot of stuff on social media, on everywhere that is scary and feels it's sometimes it's hard, right, to take in, and you feel powerless. And so we've been talking about this idea today of like, what are some small things you can do to just take back that feeling of like, okay, I control my own destiny here.
Mhm.
And here are a couple other ideas. And we just sent out a newsletter on this. So you might have seen a few of these, but the first thing would be, it's not even entirely financial related, but that is refocus on what makes you happy. And I love this one, Jeremy. So I'm going to steal it from you. I'm going to talk about it. Um, I think it's so critical in life to do the things that you really enjoy doing. And we have had all of our clients do the values exercise. So when you log into your Abundo portal, you're going to see these core values that you selected for yourself. Um, do more of that, right? Kind of look at those values and figure out, you know, is travel one of them? Is health one of them? Is family one of them? Is adventure one of them? Right? And find ways to kind of spend your time and your mental energy focused on doing that right now, um, versus checking your accounts, reading the news, worrying about things you don't entirely have control over.
And
Anything?
this one was I put that in there first only because it was a self-learning. Like I'm a recovering spreadsheet, a spreadsheetaholic or whatever you would call it. Like I just was always checking stuff all the time many years ago. And this was the thing, like I just realized at some point, like that's not the hobby I want central to my life. I want the investments to support my life, not to become it. So I think that the more that you can fill your time with this stuff, just the easier it is to ignore. And we say all the time, ignore the market, but that's hard if you've always got your spreadsheets open and you're always looking. So I think this is just a really good way to rethink about what really makes you happy to spend your time on.
Yeah, I had a real experience with this a couple weeks ago. It was
Mhm.
a Friday, and it had been a busy week, a hard week. The market was starting to kind of go down, and after work, I did karaoke with a bunch of friends, and boy, it was like going into karaoke, coming out of karaoke, I was a different person, in terms of
Mhm.
how I felt and just my outlook on life. And so that was, an hour or two of
Mhm.
focusing on something for me that makes me happy. Um, Next one, Jeremy, why don't you take this one?
Sure. I think this actually goes quite a bit back to what Eric was saying in terms of asset allocation, right? So there's so many different questionnaires and surveys out there. Abundo has one too. You've all taken it, filled it out. And I think the idea that like, when the market has been great for 5 years and you're taking a survey, the idea that that's really the time when you're going to truly know your risk tolerance. I mean, it's as good a guess as you can give at that time, right? But when the reality hits, that's the time when you feel it inside, not just kind of like logically in your brain answering a question. And I think that feeling, because it's not just that we want to be financially successful, but we want to live with a certain amount of comfort, right? Like of not being stressed by our investments. And I think using this type of experience to say like how reflect on it, say like how did I react? Do I feel confident in my emergency fund? Did I start to worry that I had too much debt or that I had not enough in my emergency fund? Or do I really want 90% in stocks? Am I really accepting of that type of risk? It's a good time to just ask those questions honestly and reassess a more permanent change going forward. So not something to every time there's a new thing in the market that you would change and go up and down, but just to say like, can I just reassess something about who I am as an investor and just go forward with that and feel a lot more comfortable with my investments and with my financial life.
And then the last thing on this list is just doing some other good financial housekeeping. So re-looking at the budget. If maybe you have gone away from tracking your spending, this could be a great time to hunker down and figure out, where are my dollars going? Am I spending within my means? Are there areas of spending that I can cut back on because they're not fulfilling to me? Just doing that alone, probably for most people, would give you an immense amount of satisfaction right now with what the market's doing, increasing savings. We already talked about this. Rebalancing your account. You know, market volatility is why we rebalance, because it causes things to get out of weightings. So, right, we can help you rebalance. We can look at if you need to do that. And even that little tactical change, even if it's not changing kind of the projections that much for you, it still can feel like you did something. And you did the good kind of tidying up of your account that you needed to do. And then Roth conversion, like Jeremy talked about just a minute ago. Those are all things that are in your control that you can take action on around your finances.